Ready to roll?
Yes, sir.
All right, so welcome to this week's episode of What You Think. I'm your host, Brad Washley. This is RJ Perkins right here.
What's going on?
So today we've got a very wide variety of topics for you today, starting with college football. As you know, this weekend we had a wide array of upsets and good games, but we want to get to what's most important in most people's eyes, the Heisman watch. So I wanted to ask you, RJ, who are a couple of your Heisman candidates from this past weekend and so far from the season, and do you feel they either went up or dropped from this past weekend?
Well, obviously, from the number one team of the nation, Alabama football, we definitely put Tua in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
He's played a very big role, obviously with his leg and his arm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even though Jalen Hurts, he does about the same thing, but with Tua, it's just he creates a whole different dynamic for that team. I definitely put my boy Dwayne Haskins from Ohio State. Y'all know that's number 7.
I knew
that's
that was
quarterback.
Coming. I knew that was coming.
Yeah, he's been playing pretty well. I want to say, with pressure, he's been on and off a couple games, but he's doing well.
Can't play much worse than y'all's defense is.
We'll talk about that later. And then also we got definitely throwing Benny Snell for the locals. He's been pretty great. I'll say he's pretty great. And I'll definitely throw in Kyler Murray, even though with the Texas game, I say that dropped him a little bit. And I'll throw in Will Grier, the quarterback for West Virginia. But obviously with the loss to Texas Tech and the way they lost, it's going to be an uphill battle for him to be back in there. So what you got?
I definitely some interesting names on there. Couple obviously with some upsets like Oklahoma and Kyle Murray. That was definitely, I won't point to it as saying it's his fault they lose, because he does so much on the offensive side and he can't play defense, and that's the issue for a lot of these guys. I think is that, like with of course your boy Haskins. So I'm sorry to say Ohio State's defense is awful. Giving up, pretty sure y'all gave up, even though it was a good win for y'all, you gave up 35 at one point to Indiana. I don't know how you give up 35 to Indiana.
Brad, you too loud.
I'm just telling you the truth, my man. Tua, I definitely think it's Tua leading vote getter, I think, for the Heisman, just because he's continuing what he did from the national championship game. Nothing short of excellent. Alabama, this is maybe the best Alabama offense I've ever seen, and you can't take away his credit due, even though I do agree with you that Jalen Hurts is still, I think, being underappreciated just because he could have done the same things if asked. But we can't deny the fact that Tua is a leading man, even though with his injury this past weekend, I believe. Have they released any, as far as if he's going to be out this coming weekend?
They haven't released anything yet.
Assuming he plays, his Heisman candidacy will only keep going, but if not, Jalen Hurts is more than capable of continuing the job. I haven't watched a lot of West Virginia, but I do know about the Texas Tech, but I don't trust West Virginia anyway, and any hopes he had of a Heisman, I think just kind of. As far as Benny Snell, I agree with you. Benny Snell is probably maybe the most talented, best running back in the country as far as I see it, but I don't think the system he plays with helps him anymore. In the loss against Texas A&M, he had maybe, I think, 10 carries or 10 touches, and I don't know how, unless there's something else going on behind the scenes that we're just not sure about, I don't know how you give your best player, if not best running back in the nation, only 10 touches, 10 carries total.
True.
That just boggles my mind, but that's a conversation for another day. If Kentucky doesn't fall apart for the rest of the year, which we're usually accustomed to seeing. So let's hope Ohio State don't do the same thing. Defense,
man, please.
Your offense can't save y'all every game.
Yeah, you're right.
And so next up, keeping it in college football, and actually we're going to make it a little more personal for you, my good friend. We're taking it to Ohio State as the youngest Bosa that's still there has decided to transfer from Ohio State. RJ, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, actually, to correct you, he actually withdrew from Ohio State, not exactly transferred, but
he didn't want to be there. That's the problem. That's what I'm hearing.
Trust me, he wants to be there.
That's why he left.
We all know why. Well, obviously, he decided to withdraw from Ohio State, which, to be honest, I really don't blame him. The 3 years he's been there, he's been nothing but exceptional, getting in the backfield, getting all sacks, tackles for loss, you name it, he's done it for the team. And, obviously, with him withdrawing, we're already struggling now without him, and knowing he's not going to come back and focus on draft, which, I would too if I'm, projected the top pick in the draft.
Let's see, where's his? Do you know where his last projections are?
So I'll be number one.
Number, like
top prospect, like number one prospect. Yes.
Man.
I was surprised too, but hey, that's all I got. That's all I got to do.
It'll be 15 to 30.
Chill, relax. But obviously, with defense is struggling mightily, giving up way too many big plays, and without him coming back, we'll see how the defense holds up. Because Purdue, they're actually better than the record shows, and they're actually leads Big Ten and big plays of over 25 plus yards. So, what are your thoughts on Nick Bosa withdrawing?
I mean, obviously, Ohio State's defense has been. It's lucky that the offense is so talented that you all can create these big gaps in wins. Like I've seen the 30-point games is because that defense gives up 20 to 30, but the offense is able to score 60, so it makes it look like good wins, which I'll give credit to the Ohio State offense, or I'll just say the Ohio State this time.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hopefully they don't lose to Purdue, then I'll just say the little Ohio State. But I think it's easily a big loss because I agree he's very similar to his brother Joey Bosa, who plays for the Chargers. I mean, big presence, gets in the backfield, creates problems for every offense he goes against, and it's going to hurt going through the rest of the year, especially if it comes time for playoffs. You guys have to go against elite offensive teams like Roll Tide.
Hopefully we'll stay number 2, so we'll be in the championship if we win the rest of our games.
Yeah. But it'll be big, and if he does decide to go in the draft, just wish him the best of luck, and whoever gets him, they will be getting a good talent. But
I mean, shoot, we already know he's going to the draft. Shoot, I would too if I was projected the top pick in the draft.
Get your money. You're not counting your pockets, bro.
Yes,
do
sir.
what you got to do.
You got to maximize your potential at all costs.
You're right about that. Anyways, all right, so moving to the pro level of football, this past weekend, the Chiefs' undefeated season unfortunately came to an end as they visited Foxborough. So we both watched the game together, saw what happened. Patrick Mahomes played just about as well as a young quarterback could in Foxborough, but at the end of the game, it wasn't enough. What are your thoughts on the game?
Man, I must applaud the Chiefs offense because they definitely needed a back massage after that game because that was just awful. I mean, granted, yes, that's 40 points, but to give up 43 points and really, even with the big play where the defensive lineman, he basically let go of Tom Brady because he thought he was going to get a roughing the passer, which looking back on it, I don't think he would have got called roughing the passer. Just the angle. In today's version of the rules, who knows? Yeah, but with Tom Brady, and you got to keep him off the field at all times. He can't give big plays, which obviously they did the last minutes with Gronk basically running all over their secondary somehow, some way. But
he is the Gronkster.
Yeah, but Chiefs will they'll bounce back for sure. It's just their defense. My goodness. The whole offense is basically carrying the whole weight of the team. So
I feel like that's been the story for the season.
Yeah,
Patrick Mahomes literally it's like I'm watching college football. Great quarterback, leading the offense and doing a bunch of good things, and defense looking like a pile of poop.
Yeah, but it's something they probably gonna have to live with for the rest of the season. So hopefully they don't have to drop 40 again just to even come close to winning the game. So.
That's crazy, but that is who many say the GOAT. So.
Yeah, but other than that, Patrick Mahomes, he played pretty well.
That's good. Yeah. So you say so NFL trade deadline coming up, what kind of moves you think, if any, could be made just to kind of at least stabilize this defense? What big moves you think they can make, or what position you think they need? Because they have some good players. It's just not a good defense. Say Eric Berry, one of the best safeties in football. Justin Houston's a very talented off the rush player. But I mean, 2 guys don't make the difference.
True, but I don't know if there's any players out there in free agency that's still there. And they just traded Marcus Peters for some draft picks.
Yep.
So if draft picks they pan out, then okay. If they don't, then they just made That's a wise decision, but it's whatever.
I agree. Well, the point of it all is they've got time to fix the defense, and they've got Patrick Mahomes for a good amount of years to come. It's actually a good thing you mentioned Marcus Peters, because for our next topic, we're moving to his new home, which is LA Rams, who are absolutely rolling this season. Only undefeated team left in the NFL, right behind, obviously, Jared Goff and Todd Gurley. But what do you think about just acquisitions and how the teams look through 6 games?
Oh, well, obviously, Todd Gurley, he's been dominating really this entire season so far. He just rushed for over career high 208 yards. So this past Sunday against the Broncos, so he just been dominating, running the football, throwing the football.
That's not a bad defense by any means. That's
it's pretty
solid defense.
Pretty solid defense, and he ran for 208. So obviously that speaks for his talents and abilities. Jared Goff, he's really under Sean McVay been playing really, really, really well. I mean, obviously with the injury to Cooper Kupp, the knee sprain, that's going to be
a couple weeks.
So that's going to hurt them a little bit. But I don't think it shouldn't hurt them too much because they still got Todd Gurley, they still got Brandon Cooks, they still got Robert Woods,
who was the leading receiver, I believe, in that game, if I remember correctly, in the Broncos game. Couple deep plays.
He probably was. He probably was. But
gotta step up.
I think they'll probably incorporate Brandon Cooks more, get him throwing the ball more. But other than that, they look pretty good.
So we mentioned offense. What about the defensive side of the ball? As you know, that's where a lot of the money was put into this offseason.
Well, the defense, I mean, obviously it's been pretty disappointing for the most part. I mean, obviously I have them on a fantasy team, and last week they only gave me about 1 fantasy point. So obviously,
so this is personal matter. So this is personal for you.
Yeah. So far it's not good. It's not good at all. But obviously they lost Marcus Peters to a calf injury, and Aqib Talib's on IR. So obviously they missing some corners, but I mean obviously they giving up a lot of big plays, but it's kind of a bend but not break
mentality. Yes.
So obviously they've been holding up a little bit so far.
Would you say that you're willing to blame on the injuries, or have we not seen what we expected from the front line yet with Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh?
I mean, I think they done what they could for a little bit. It's just really, the secondary, they're a little banged up. So really, if you can't get to the quarterback, you have to, lean on the secondary just a little bit. So, stop the pass, which, I mean, they giving up, a few plays here and there.
Yeah.
So.
But that's important, Ben. But field goals are better than 7 every time, though.
So that's my take on the Rams.
I'm sorry about your fantasy team. I know you very much pride your fantasy team, but it's time to move on. All right, so for the next topic, so it's almost about your favorite time of the year and my favorite time of the year, basketball season. So NBA came back this week, and for the first 2 games, first off, we start off with the Celtics 76ers. As I'm not going to lie to you, on the 2 games of the night, I was completely backwards about how both would go. I thought the Warriors game and your Thunder, I thought that was going to be a beatdown. I thought the Celtics 76ers was going to be a good game. I ended up being completely wrong as the Celtics blew out the 76ers by about, I believe, 18. And Jason Tatum shines. Let's start there. What did you think about that game?
I mean, I think that's just really, it speaks to how, everybody outside of Kyrie and Gordon Hayward, how everybody else developed their game. Because obviously Kyrie, he had a bad game. He only had 7 points, 2 of 14 from the field, but he still contributed with about,
7 assists, 4 rebounds, and a couple steals.
Yeah, so he still contributed outside of scoring. Gordon Hayward, come back.
First game back.
Yeah, since he broke his ankle.
Still had a solid game. I believe 7 points and 4 steals.
Yeah, so he did pretty well, but it just shows, Tatum, he really took his game to another level. Jaylen Brown, he still is going to play hard, hustle, attack the rim. So really, outside as a team, the Celtics, especially, it just showed me that they look like they're a team to be in the East.
So do you think that are the Celtics just that much more talented than the 76ers, or what's wrong with the 76ers? Because I mean, we know they have obviously coming off Rookie of the Year Ben Simmons, who's very talented and I believe the best center in the NBA, and Joel Embiid. But what do you think's wrong?
With the Sixers, I mean, I think it's that everybody around Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons has to step up. Because obviously Ben Simmons, he had double-double. Now, I'm pretty sure Joel Embiid had double-double. And everybody else, I think the only person that scored over 10 points was J.J. Redick, and he came off the bench.
J.J. Robert Covington, can't forget.
Yeah, he did okay, but he was.
But he's limited.
But he was off. He was off because he's a streaky 3-point shooter. So really, and then obviously they had 10 turnovers in the first half, so that didn't help at all. So I think really just everybody around Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons has to step up.
Now, but you do believe the Celtics team to beat? No Raptors?
Yes, I would say so. Yes, only because I think the Raptors, or obviously they have Kawhi Leonard now, so and they still got Kyle Lowry, but I don't know how
it's going to mesh.
Really, not really saw how it mesh. I think they'll be fine. They'll probably end up being top 4 in the East, but I think that come playoff time, I don't know how the Raptors are going to play. Because you know how it is with the Raptors going to come.
Kyle Lowry. I know how it is with Kawhi. I know I'll say Kawhi.
If you're not injured.
You gonna be that way? You're gonna turn Skip Bayless on me?
I'm just saying.
You're gonna turn Skip Bayless on me right now?
I'm just saying. I want him to be healthy this year.
We'll see.
That's all I want to see.
We'll see.
I just want to see
how
him healthy, man.
All right. So, anyways, another thing. So after the game, I was watching NBA Night, and they listed their belief at the top 4 players or top teams in the East, and there was no discussion as far as player-wise. They didn't mention Giannis. Like I remember they were going through the top teams. They mentioned, of course, Tatum, Kyrie, Kawhi now with the Raptors, Victor Oladipo with the Pacers, and I heard no mention of Giannis Antetokounmpo. Is he still being underrated and underappreciated?
I think not. I think that really. I think everybody knows about Giannis. You know, he's long, athletic. He can score, rebound, pass. You know, he's basically he's really the face of the franchise for the Bucks. But he's also somebody who really does it all for the team. But I think that really, he needs to up his game more. I think he needs to step it up, especially come playoff time as well. Because sometimes there's games where he might have the 27 and 19. 19 points or 27 points and maybe triple-double. But when it comes to the final 3-4 minutes,
he starts to fade.
He starts to fade a little bit because what they do is obviously they dare him to shoot because he can attack the rim because he has length. But what with him shooting the ball, that was more his weakness. So that's why he started to fade. So I saw preseason a little bit. He made a couple threes. So
the jumper does look better.
Yeah, so
he's more consistent.
Yeah, and obviously he hasn't been past the first round. That's another thing for him.
Last year, I agree. That's one of the things that I will see is that for as talented as he is, we haven't seen really the playoff success last year. Because, we mocked the 76ers for not being able to get past an injured Celtics team, but, Giannis couldn't do it either. I believe they lost in six last year in the first round. He's got to prove that he can take a team to the top.
It was 6 or 7.
6. It was 6. But I still think Giannis is arguably the best player in the East. But it remains to be seen until we see him take the team further. But we can only find out as the season goes along.
Yeah, that's the only knock on him. You just got to take his team further. Hopefully, he gets past the first round this year.
I agree because I'm a big Giannis fan. I got the jersey in my closet. Anyways, so moving on to the opening night for the West, we had the ring ceremony and the banner hanging for Dub Nation. Your second favorite team, even though you love to hate. The Warriors! No, I'm not going to lie. I thought this game was going to be a complete beatdown as Russell Westbrook did not play. And I did not believe that Paul George was going to be enough. But somehow they made this into a game. Dennis Schroeder, Steven Adams, Paul George all ended up contributing. Fortunately, and unraveled in the last couple minutes. Warriors get the dub. What are your thoughts on the game, Mr. Thunder?
Well, it actually was obviously they surprised me how close they were able to keep the game because obviously Westbrook he's not there.
Roberson was out too as well.
Still can't make a free throw probably, but it's all right. We'll take your defense, Roberson. We'll take your defense. But without Westbrook, obviously they're a whole different team offensively, and it was pretty apparent first half. They weren't able to score Still turned the ball over some a little bit. But I think Dennis Schroeder, he played pretty well.
He had a good rebounding game.
Yeah.
Career high in rebounds.
Yeah, but both teams both teams shot pretty bad, I will say. But it was a good fight. It was a good fight. But I mean, obviously the Warriors, they made key buckets in the end, in the second half, especially late third quarter, going into the fourth quarter, they made key shots. And then I think with the Thunder, what happened was we tried to play a little bit hero ball. So like after they scored a key bucket, we would try to come back with like a quick three. And obviously we didn't shoot well enough to the point where we could afford to take that. We had to go to the basket. So I think that's what kind of didn't let them get over the hump, get that win. But it was surprising. It was surprising how close they were able to keep it, considering they didn't shoot that well. But neither team did either.
Yeah,
So.
I say Kevin Durant. I believe that was the first game I've ever seen Kevin Durant not hit a three. I believe he was 0 of 8 from the three-point line. Draymond did not score the ball particularly well, but of course Draymond, he does everything else well. Clay struggled shooting from the floor, but he managed to do a good job defensively.
Very fortunate.
Steph Curry, star of the night, 32, 9 and 8. I mean, proving why he's a 2-time MVP, 3-time champion.
Yeah.
But I have to know, just from being a Thunder fan, does a game like this without Russ, and well, we're not worried about Roberson, but a game like this without Russ, does this make you more excited for what the season has to hold when Russ returns, or does it make you worry? Because when Russ returns that the pace is going to be different and it's going to be a more ball dominant offense. So
True. I think everything should go back to normal, but I think it also gives us some confidence that we can't play with the best of them, especially when Westbrook's out. I mean, obviously we have a under 500 record without Westbrook, in the starting lineup, but I think it gives us some more confidence, and I think that we're shorter the way he's playing. If he can keep it up, but also be more efficient, I think that he'll also obviously help a lot. Because I think, especially if we play small ball with him and Westbrook together, I think that will help a lot. Because he's not a bad player; he's pretty decent. And then of course Paul George, you got him.
as long as he doesn't turn into George Paul.
Yeah, true. We just need keep doing what he's doing, and then Steven Adams, his offense will follow. Once Westbrook comes back, especially with that pick and roll offense. I think that will help a lot. So.
All right. Well, keeping it to basketball for our last topic of the day. As you both know, we're both kind of a little bit of supporters, not fully, but support the Big Baller brand.
Big Baller?
Big Baller, Big LeVar, the most polarizing TV personality I think I've ever seen. So for those who don't know, so Big Baller brand, as you know, when they released Zoe's first shoe, it was around $495 and upwards of about $695, which was outrageous considering the shoes were, first off, he hadn't played yet.
True.
His rookie season followed, didn't play extraordinarily well. On top of that, the first release, before they released the primes, the first release was the ugliest shoe I've ever seen in my life. I could have probably made a better shoe if I was colorblind, but that's for another day. So they're releasing a new one that's going to be around the price of $200, but a lot of people are still complaining as for $200, that's still more expensive than some pairs of Jordans and some pairs of LeBron shoes. So what do you think about that? About this new idea?
Well, of course, being the Big Baller brand specialist I am. I would say, obviously, they had to lower the price down because I, for sure, would not dare to spend almost $500 on a pair of shoes, especially Big Baller shoes.
First pair were atrocious. Did you like the primes though? When they
I didn't even bother to look at them.
They weren't that. The primes weren't that bad. First release was trash.
I'm still not paying.
Well, I'm not paying $500 for shoes either way.
Yeah, LeVar must be out his mind if he thought I was going to pay $500.
He wants to speak it into existence.
Yeah, he can do that somewhere else. He can speak his son doing well in LA into existence. He can do something other than that.
It sure hasn't happened yet.
We'll speak on that another time. But obviously, they received, as we all know, they received the big F on the business bureau because obviously people wasn't getting their their stuff on time, if that at all. So obviously, I wouldn't mind if anybody didn't look at the big baller brands way. I wouldn't mind at all. But obviously, you got the big baller brand fans out there in the world. So I'm not really one of them per se. I just So what's your thoughts on that?
Hey, easy now, man. Watch the gear. Anyways, thanks, man. I'm not in support. I've never been in support of I mean, even if they came out with the coolest shoe ever made, I'm not about to open my wallet and burn 500 of my precious dollars that we work very hard for into a big baller shoe. I don't think there are a lot of things I would not spend 500 on. I might spend 500 on a new TV, but that's going to last me maybe 10, 15 years. Not shoes that, you have been known to look atrocious. The guy that's sporting them has yet to prove that he can be a good NBA player, effectively and efficiently. But
Or if you get him at all.
he might not. I mean, with the playmakers the Lakers have this year and how much talent, he might end up losing playing time. But that's a story for another day.
Go ahead and wear them LeBrons, Lonzo. You know what it is.
I mean, he's on the team now. Might as well. Free LeBrons
Go ahead and
every
get
game.
you some free LeBron 16s.
I'd rather have 15s, to be honest. But again, I digress.
Get them all LeBrons. Get them all.
I mean, but Big Baller Brand is overrated and over expensive as it is. I've yet to see the family legit. I mean, Lonzo, of course, I still believe his ceiling is decently high. I mean, the jump shot looks like it's gotten a lot better, even though unfortunately he's had to sit with injuries. He's a good defensive player, tall, long. He has a unique court vision, good rebounder. I mean, only thing really question is, can he put the ball on the hoop efficiently? And we're going to have to wait and see because, I mean, as I said, Rondo's going to start the year, so we're going to have to wait and see with the time that Lonzo gets behind all these playmakers. I mean, not just Rondo, but Lance, Brandon Ingram, of course, because Brandon Ingram's the second best player on the team by far. But, I mean, we can only see because, I mean, Big Baller Brand's only going to be as good as Lonzo, shows himself to be because Angelo Ball is not going to show us that. I'm still 50-50 on LaMelo, but I need this
He'll probably
man
still be in the JBA until he's about 35.
I mean, if they're paying good, I'd stay there too. But that's another thing. But, yeah. So, I would not waste my money on Big Baller gear. And eventually, if Lonzo doesn't look better than he did last year, Big Baller might turn into Big Loser. But we'll see if LeVar can speak it into existence, but we'll find out.
Hopefully that's Big LeVar. Big LeVar right there.
Hey, at least he's been quiet since Big LeBron came to town. But
You know what it is. That's King James.
That's King James.
King James. You know what it is with him.
I don't, but that's okay. All right, so that's all. Of course, that's just KD. I'm going with KD. Anyways, we'll get on this another time. Well, that's all we got for you this week. Appreciate you watching. This has been What You Think with Brad and RJ. We'll see you next time.